Hello. So I'm going to finish off our little board game shelf here. So, Spyfall right here. This is a game I bought, and I do recommend buying it, but I also recommend not playing this board game. Not because you shouldn't play it, it's just that it is so much easier to go to this one website and play the game there. What this game is everyone except for one person gets a location and then a role, and you can choose to role play that role if you want. And then you pick a question, you ask someone, and then they give an answer, and then you can say, oh, okay, good answer, or no, I think they're the person that doesn't know where we're at. So, social deduction, bluffing. So it leads to a lot of clever answers, clever questions, etc. But this box, I bought it because I wanted to support them, contains cards. Like, everyone's giving cards in the game, and it's just annoying to deal with the decks. Like, there's like 20 decks of cards in here. I'll open it up. Like, all these cards, so many of them. And yeah, I put them in the bags and everything, but then I just realized I had found the website, really, and then I just thought, well, let's just use that website forever. Everyone basically has smartphones, so I'll just have them go to the website and use that instead. Is this even going to close now? Did I not make it organized enough? So that's what I have to say about this. I bought it because I like the game a lot and I wanted to support them, but also it's very unmanageable like this. So play the app or the website instead. The Bloody Inn I haven't played very much. I've played maybe 2 or 3 games. I don't know if I like it. I might get rid of it. You're basically a hotel operator with other people, and people come in and you put them in some rooms, and then you can possibly kill them, possibly recruit them to your cause, and then you have to like bury them. If you kill them, they get their money, or you can use them to build a building which you can bury people under and you get bonuses from the buildings. And when you recruit people, each person like has a thing they're good at. Like, they're good at building, bribing, killing, burying the body or whatever. So otherwise, if you use them to use the thing they're good at, they come back to you. Otherwise, they go away. So I don't know. It seems like you get a good engine up and running to deal with stuff. I don't know what to think of it right now. I don't think I've played it enough. So I might get rid of it. Not sure. Patchwork is recommended a lot for 2 people. I mean, it only plays 2 people, but it is very good. Basically, there is a board. You each get a board, and there's a board that you move pieces on. So you move the pieces in front of the other person, and you gain money based on how far you go. And then also, as you progress the board, if you're the first person to cross a certain space, you get a 1x1 square. Anyway, around the board is going to be all the pieces. They are like Tetris pieces. There's squares, there's crosses, there's weird Z shapes or other like strange shapes or H's, stuff like that. And you can pay to take that and put it on your board. And it's got to fit onto your board. You got to rotate it around and everything. At the end of the game, you get points based on not having blank spaces on your board, which is why those 1x1 squares are good, so you can just put them anywhere. So this is a very good game because I like how, you gotta think, do I want to move ahead? Do I want to buy this piece, that piece? How do I want to fit it? What's my overall goal? This is a very, very good 2-person game. Cash and Guns, the 2nd edition. It's a lot different than the 1st edition. I've never played it, but I have seen it played. It's a lot different. So what we have in here, there are foam guns in here. And basically what you do, it's supposed to represent a standoff over money. Well, foam guns, even with the orange tip. So at one point, they draw out the money, and then you point at someone. And before that, there are bullet cards. and these can either be blanks or real bullets. So you only get 3 bullets, and then the rest are blanks. So what you do is you maybe play a blank to threaten someone so they back out, so you get more of the money, and then you can drop out. And then once everyone has either dropped out or stayed in, all the cards get played. And if you dropped out, then your card is hidden. So they don't know. They can't count you. They can't count your cards if you back out. So I like this. It's cool. It's like, oh, are they actually going to shoot me? Are they bluffing? Etc. And you can pick your money. Good game. I like it. You need a lot of people for it, so that's why I haven't played it as much, but we've played it maybe twice. Dixit's really cool. This is one of our favorite games. You have a deck of cards. You think you have like 5 or 6 cards in your hand. And what you do as the storyteller is you say something related to the picture you're going to place down. So you can tell a story, you can make a sound effect, whatever. You place it down, face down, and then everyone else from their hand places a card that they think also represents that. They get shuffled, they get revealed, and people vote on which one they think is the storyteller's card. The storyteller gains points only if people don't all guess it or no one doesn't get it. So basically, if everyone guesses it, they don't get any points. If no one gets it, they also don't get any points. So you want to make it relevant enough to not be obvious. Otherwise, everyone's going to get it. But if it's not obvious, no one's going to get it. You don't get points. And then you, as someone who's not the storyteller, gains points if you steal people away from you. Like, for instance, someone had a card like realistic painting. And I forget what they played, but it had like a paintbrush or something on it. I had a card with a cat painting a fish that was coming off the easel. Like it was like physically jumping out of the easel. So I played that and everyone voted for my card, but I knew that wasn't it, so I voted for his card, which was the second obvious one basically. So I gained the points for everyone that I stole away from the real card, and I got points because I got the storyteller's card right, and the storyteller gained points because I at least got his card. So I really like this game. The artwork's really cool. You can kind of see it's really cute fantasy stuff. And there are expansions that have even more cards called like Dixit Odyssey and stuff like that. They're a really cool game. I really like it. Tokaido. This is a very pretty game. I don't know what I think about it right now. So far I've only played it twice. I've played it with like 4 people and I've played it with 2 people, myself and Sarah. 2-player I really don't think it's built for, so I don't consider that game. And the 4 or 5 people game I liked better. It's very pretty. It has basically a long path where you move. If you're in behind, you move to wherever you want. Like you get to choose how far ahead you want to move as long as it's not blocked. So you can block people out of things. So when you move, someone else is going to be behind you and they'll move. And then there are some where 2 people can be on. So there's a long path where you stop at a hotel and then you eat and you gain points on what you eat. Maybe you can't afford it, and so on and so on. And you do that like 3 or 4 times. And at the end of the game, you add up all your money, you add up the donations to the table, you add up souvenirs you've bought, you add up friends that you've met. If you painted a nice panorama. I think it's very casual, pretty easy to pick up. I'm not sure if there's strategic depths to it. There is. I can see where it would come from, but we haven't played it very much. A lot of people do like the art, so I'm not sure about this game. Over here, in the last section, we have one of my favorite games, Codenames. This game has 2 other versions. One is Codenames with adult words, and the other is Codename Pictures, which is basically Dixit in a way. So what this game is, you have a 5x5 grid of cards that have words on them. And then 2 people, 1 for each team, has a card that tells them what cards are theirs. So there's like 8 red and like 7 blue, or vice versa, depending on who goes first. That way, like, first player doesn't have an advantage. And then they say a clue, which is one word, and then they say how many clues on the board relate to that word. So, for instance, you'll have this 5x5 grid and say this word over here and then this word right here are your words. And they're the words London and Beijing. So you would say something like cities, too. You know, and they would be like, oh, that one and that one. The problem is that you can't say any of the words that are on here. So if the word city was on here, which I don't think is one, you couldn't say it. But if a word like break was on here, you couldn't say like car brakes or breaking or broke, anything like that. So as you reveal more words, then you get to say more stuff. I like it a lot, and it's very good for, I think, like couples, because it's like, oh, do we think the same? Do we have the same references? You know, I really like this game. This game was a huge success when it came out, because if you choose the wrong card, then you might instantly die, because there's like a card that will instantly like lose it for you, or you'll flip up someone else's card, the other team's card. So very, 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 very fun game. I've not played Codenames Adult, and I've not played Codenames Pictures. I don't really feel the need to buy them, but I do really, really like this Codenames. Very good game. Smash hit. Splendor. This box is huge. This box does not need to be this huge. I saw something where someone made a box that was like this big that fit everything. So what this is, there are like 6 currencies and 1 wild card currency. And there are cards that are laid out, and you slowly take currencies and you buy those cards. And the cards get more expensive each tier, but they also are worth more points. So what they do is when you buy those cards, they count as a currency. So you'll buy like a diamond mine, and then everything that cost the white diamonds now cost 1 less permanently. So at one point when you build up an engine, you can actually buy things essentially for free because you have enough blues, you have enough reds, or whatever. And then as you get a certain number of those things, you get like royal people who give you more points. So it's kind of a race to get the most points, which you get from buying the higher tier cards or getting those nobles. Do you want to race for the nobles? Do you want to go for something else? Do you want to go for the high cards? Do you want to deny people certain values of money? Very good game. I don't know if it needs to be as big of a box. It really doesn't. I like it. I think just won a couple of awards too. It's fun. Goes quick. Pandemic. Pandemic is a very classic co-op game. They've released a couple of expansions. I don't have any, but there's a lot of expansions for it. So what you are is you are different types of people who start in Atlanta, Georgia, and you gotta travel around the world researching different kinds of disease and then curing it. And you win if you cure all the diseases. Diseases will spread. You can't have them spread too much. You can't run out of cards, stuff like that. Very good game. Very classic co-op game. The guy who has made Pandemic, this Matt Leacock, he has also done Forbidden Island, and I think the other one's called Forbidden Desert, Forgotten Desert, something like that. They're all very similar to Pandemic. They play somewhat different. Like the floating islands, like you step on an island and then it flips over like into the water, and then someone's got to repair it, otherwise it'll be gone forever. And then the other one, like the desert, you got to like flip up tiles, and then a tornado comes and like moves the tiles. I haven't played those. I've seen them played. They all are very somewhat similar to Pandemic. You all have roles that do certain things. But Pandemic is the classic. I don't have any expansions, but there are expansions that add like a trader who goes around, and you have like other diseases. One of the most famous pandemics recently is now Pandemic Legacy. And if you know what Legacy is when the game itself is permanently changed based on what you do. As far as I know, there's only like 4 or 5 games like that. The first one was the one called Risk Legacy, where like you would have a battle, and because of that battle, there'd be destruction. So like the province would be destroyed and would have some kind of problem. I've never played it, but I know that like battles would cause like scars on the land, and then like if you win, you get to pick a city to found or something. So Pandemic Legacy, I hope to get it for Christmas, is Pandemic, but each time you play, there is something that changes. I know it goes through the months and then something changes permanently. Like in Risk Legacy, you get to choose between like 1 or 2 powers, and the other power you don't choose is like gone. Like you rip up the card, it's gone permanently, forever. So you, at the end of the Risk Legacy, you have your own personal board that you can keep playing on that tells a story. So Pandemic is really good, and I hope to talk about Pandemic Legacy in some point. Twilight Struggle, for a very long time, was the #1 game on Board Game Geek. It was widely considered the best game. Is it? It's a certain type of game. It is essentially like two-person chess. It has very good balance. There's a lot of strategic depth to it. Immense amounts of depth. So if that's your thing, because certainly, if you want to play a party game, then you're going to play Codenames or something like that. This game, for the amount of strategic depth and balance in it, is astounding. It is a very, very good game. There's a version on Steam, which I prefer because there's a lot of setup. There's a lot of fiddly bits to play with. So the basic behind this game is you have these cards that are Cold War events, like the Cuban Missile Crisis, or de Gaulle leading France, or the Suez Crisis, or the Korean War. And each of these cards has certain events that are like either good for the US or good for the Soviets. And when you play it, if it's your card, you can either choose it for points, which you can use to do like place influence and coup the government to put your influence in. What that means, so you can either play the card for the event or for the points. So there's a choice between, do I want the event, this amazing event, or do I want to use the points to do something else? In which case it'll come back into the card. Because once it's used for an event, it's gone forever. However, if it's your opponent's event, you have to play it for the points, and then the event can either happen before or after. So if you're the Russians, and you have some event that, like, the Soviets get kicked out of Egypt or something, and you play that event, the event has to occur. You have to get kicked out of Egypt, either before and after you do your points. But then once that event happens, it's gone forever. So something like Fidel Castro, he'll give all the influence of Soviets in Cuba. But then once he's gone, he won't come back. He's not going to reappear. So once that happens, the U.S. can start putting influence into Cuba. So this is a very, very in-depth game. I don't think it's necessarily hard to learn, but it's extremely hard to master. I like playing it on Steam. A very, very good game. Best game of all time? I mean, probably, for what it is, yeah. Very well balanced, very high depth in this game. And finally, we have Sheriff of Nottingham. Is another bluffing game. Basically what you do, someone is a sheriff, and it rotates throughout people. Each person gets to be the sheriff twice, and you have a deck of cards, you have a hand of cards, and you pick out matching sets. And there's illegal stuff that you can put in with it, and you put it into a bag and you seal the bag. And then you slide it over to the sheriff and you say, I have, 3 or 4. You have to say the number of cards in there. You can't lie about that. So you say, I have 3 chickens or bread, and those are legal. And he'll look at you and say, I don't think it's bread. I think it's, something illegal. I'm going to look. And then, maybe you're fine with that. Maybe you're not, because you actually did put illegal things in it. So they get charged money if they look at something that's only legal goods, but you get charged if you put something illegal in there. So there's kind of a game between like, oh, I'll give you $5 not to look at my bag, stuff like that. So there's a lot of bluffing in this. A lot of misdirection, like you play completely honest for a long time and then you switch it up. It's a good game. I like it. I have a lot of bluffing games, so maybe that's not your thing. I know I have Coup and I have Werewolf, and I think the Resistance has some. Bang the Dice game has some social deduction, Cash and Guns, and then this. So I do have a lot of bluffing games, but I think that's kind of my thing. I really like them. I know some people might ruin friendships or something, but this is a very good game as well. I recommend it fully, because you can go, I'll go completely honest, or I'll start smuggling everything. Anyway, that is my collection of board games. I hope to add to it. There's quite a long list of things I want, but, you know, at a certain point, I'm going to start running out of room. But if I get any more board games, I'll mention them. I'll probably do reviews. I might start over here and like review the games and review their components if I like them. So, anyway, thank you. Bye.